Hi guys, Josh here. In this week's guitar lesson we're going to be looking at how to play the F major bar chord. Now I see this question quite often on Reddit and on Facebook guitar pages. It's a difficult chord to start to play, but we're going to go through some tips that's going to help you gradually build up your finger strength so that you'll be able to play this F major bar chord. Okay, let's take a look at this F major chord. So there's a few tips on how to play this. As you can see, the first finger is a bar. What I'm using is the outside of my finger, okay, because that is the kind of spongiest bit. Okay, so if you look at where I'm fretting on that first fret, my finger's always almost on its edge a little bit, and that's because I'm looking to get that bit of skin onto the strings. And then the next tip I would say is to place your thumb in the middle of the neck behind your index finger. So remember, we've got this index finger slightly tilted, and then as you can see here, my thumb is directly behind my index finger. So my index finger's barring there, and then as you can see, my thumb is roughly in the middle of the neck. Okay, so not too far up, not too far down, it's kind of in the middle. Okay, and that's really where you want your thumb to be, is just slightly behind your index finger. Okay, and then in the middle of the neck. Okay, and then once you've got this position down, it's really important not to use too much tension, okay, because otherwise it will result in injuries, and to be honest, you don't really need that much tension when you're pushing down. These three fingers do most of the work with this chord. Okay, this one's just lying there, it's just barring it. Okay, so don't put too much pressure on. Okay, just a tiny bit of pressure. Use your thumb as well. Just don't pinch too hard because it will start hurting your hand otherwise. Okay, and just make sure you ring out all the strings. Just make sure there's no kind of bum notes as such. Okay, and what you're looking for in particular is this B and high E string. They're the ones that's most probably going to either mute himself or be a couple of bum notes. Okay, so you want to really focus with your index finger, getting that correct pressure on. Okay, so that's a couple of tips on how to play the F major bar chord. Okay, so it's the side of your finger, using your thumb behind your index finger on the back of the neck. Okay, 3 is not using too much tension. And 4, there's different ways to play this F major chord. You don't have to play it like this. Okay, you can play a F over C. Okay, so this is where you're not really barring your first finger. Your first finger is just barring the B and the E string, and then the rest of your fingers are in exactly the same position. Okay, we just don't have this F root note. It's a C instead. Okay. Again, there's another way to play it. We can just play that, so it'll be our first finger, our second finger, and our third finger, and then we just strum them 3 strings. Okay, so our first finger is just muting this high E. That is an F major chord. Okay, so it's just not got the low strings in it. It's not as a rounded of sound, but it's still an F major chord. So that is a way you can play this F major as well. And there is one final way of playing it. This is used by the likes of John Frusciante and Jimi Hendrix. You can play this F over C. Okay, but then we put our thumb over the top to then push down on the first fret of the low E. Okay, and that's your F, so there's your root note there. Okay, so then it turns into an F major chord rather than an F over C. Personally, I don't use this method. I find it quite difficult to put my thumb over and play all the notes cleanly. I think it's much better method is to really get used to playing this bar chord, and then you'll be able to move it all the way up the neck. Okay, and then once you've got the F major down, the next step will be transitioning to it from different chords. What I'd recommend is switching from F to C and just keep doing that repeatedly. You can either set yourself for timers and count how many times you can switch between the two in a minute or half a minute. It would be really good practice. Reason why to do it between the F and C is they're commonly used together. Okay, and if you use the F over C methods or the thumb over F major methods, okay, the shapes are really close together. So you got the F over C, and then the C is that. So you're really just moving your middle finger up, you're moving your little finger off, and then strumming. It's really close together. Okay, so I'd practice moving between them two chords. Try it different ways. You can try the bar chord, you can try the thumb over. Just don't forget the tips I mentioned about what part of your index finger to use, and also to use your thumb behind the neck. Tension as well. It's just practice and building up strength, and eventually you'll get there, and it makes the rest of the bar chords easy. Okay, have a great week, and I will see you next week.